Yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope is such an incredible instrument. The data has just blown us away. When you build this thing and you look at it unfolding in space, you think,
James Webb had changed everything we thought we knew about the universe, but nothing could have prepared humanity for what it just detected. Far beyond the icy reaches of our solar system, a mysterious interstellar object was moving closer, an object unlike anything NASA had ever studied. Designated 3I/ATLAS, it was only the third interstellar visitor ever recorded, following the infamous Oumuamua and comet Borisov. Yet this one was different, terrifyingly different, because this time, the signatures weren't just chemical or mineral, they were biological. The first red flag wasn't the object's size, speed, or shape. It was what James Webb saw glistening across its surface, a shimmering, fibrous layer reacting violently to solar radiation. It didn't behave like ice. It didn't behave like rock. It behaved like a living membrane. Real-time spectrographs revealed rapid alterations in oxygen and carbon levels that matched what Earth-based labs would call metabolic processes. This interstellar wanderer wasn't just coated in dust. It was covered in life. NASA scrambled. Emergency calls went out to ESA, JAXA, and intelligence agencies worldwide. Meetings moved underground. The public was intentionally left in the dark. After all, how do you break it to 8 billion people that something alive is barreling toward them from deep space? What James Webb uncovered next became the most classified finding in human history, at least for a few days. Teams of astrobiologists and defense analysts gathered inside highly restricted facilities to examine the data. They argued relentlessly. Was 3I/ATLAS natural or engineered? Could a comet really carry life capable of surviving interstellar travel? Some insisted panspermia, the theory life spreads through space on comets, was finally proven. Others believed they were staring at a biological weapon thrown across the galaxy. The debate turned heated, but soon, data ended the arguments. James Webb detected movement. Surface clusters wiggled and pulsed like colonies responding to light exposure. Silicate samples inferred from spectral readings were being reshaped in patterns too structured to be random. Parts of the comet appeared to be growing, weaving new layers of protective tissue as it absorbed energy from stars along its journey. No natural organism known on Earth could metabolize radiation like food. Whatever this was, evolution had forged it in a crucible far more violent than our planet. Then came the trajectory shift. 3I/ATLAS began accelerating, not from gravitational influence, not from outgassing, but as if something on or inside it was steering. A comet adjusting course toward the sun was unprecedented. Toward Earth, unthinkable. The numbers were undeniable. Its new path intersected our orbit in less than 5 months. NASA maintained silence, but astronomers around the world noticed the anomaly. Rumors grew online. Hashtags trended. Fear spread like wildfire. Then the signals started. Radio telescopes captured faint sequences of pulses coming from the object. They weren't random static or cosmic interference. They repeated. They evolved. They encoded structure, patterns eerily similar to base pair arrangements found in DNA. Scientists nearly panicked. The public still knew nothing, but behind locked doors, the truth was horrifying. An object from deep space wasn't just carrying life, it was communicating. A hidden code embedded within the pulses suggested a message. Whether a greeting or a warning, no one could decipher. Agencies debated what to do. Should they respond? Should they shoot it down? The U.S. Space Force drafted contingency plans. Anti-satellite defense systems were prepped. Nuclear payloads considered. Because if this was an invasion, humanity had little chance of surviving microbes designed to thrive in the void. NASA launched robotic probes. Tiny sensor drones approached the surface of 3I/ATLAS and collected microscopic samples. What returned sent shockwaves through every scientific institution. The biological structures weren't bacteria. They were spores, hard-shelled microorganisms capable of withstanding cosmic radiation for potentially millions of years. And they weren't dormant. They showed signs of cellular replication, feeding off solar wind, cosmic rays, and even the drone's metallic surface. Astrobiologists recognized this for what it was, a living arc. 3I/ATLAS wasn't merely a comet, it was a transport vessel for life, a delivery system, a traveler from a corner of the galaxy where suns died violently and organisms learned to survive extinction by leaving their home star behind. These spores were engineered or evolved to colonize new worlds. Then, the drones detected something else. The spores emitted chemical signals that correlated with the radio pulses. Two communication systems, biological and electromagnetic, working together like neurons in a brain. This wasn't a swarm, it was a collective intelligence. As it crossed Neptune's orbit, the object suddenly shed streams of glowing material. Clouds of spores launched into the darkness like seeds on the wind. Observatories saw luminous trails twisting into shapes, spirals, arrows, repeats, like messages written across space. The microbes linked together, forming fractal clusters, geometry too advanced for accidental formation. Even skeptics now admitted this was intentional behavior. Every agency in the world demanded answers. United Nations emergency councils convened for the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Scientists pleaded for study. Military leaders demanded action. Some feared the spores were a biological invasion designed to terraform Earth for an alien species. Others saw them as survivors fleeing cosmic catastrophe. Both sides agreed on one chilling detail: Earth was being chosen. James Webb detected energy spikes each time the object adjusted its course, as if fueled by the microbes themselves. They were piloting their icy vessel like cells, guiding a seed pod toward fertile soil. And Earth was the most fertile world they'd likely ever seen. While governments argued, the microbes drew closer to the sun, thriving as radiation increased. They metabolized cosmic energy more efficiently than any Earth organism metabolizes food. They were happy here, hungry even. Something inside 3I/ATLAS cracked open, revealing a cavernous chamber lined with bioluminescent growth. It resembled a giant spaceborne cocoon. Then the message changed. No longer random bursts, now language-like structure. Sequencing repeated across the globe. Amateur radio receivers picked it up. It leaked online. Panic erupted as translation attempts emerged. One independent codebreaker posted a terrifying interpretation before vanishing from social media. "Our star has died. We are exiles. We seek home." The spores weren't soldiers. They were refugees. Survivors of a lost system traveling toward the nearest world where life already thrived. A world where they believed they might coexist or take over. Scientists discovered that the spores were capable of horizontal gene transfer, absorbing useful DNA from other life forms. They could become anything, adapt to anything. They could merge with Earth's biosphere like invasive superorganisms. Evolution on fast forward. Now, well inside the Kuiper Belt, 3I/ATLAS released a second wave, larger clusters forming lattice-like networks. Some shaped themselves into disk patterns pointing directly toward Earth. The message was clear. They understood where they were heading. They understood we were here. James Webb continued to stream horrifying beauty, brilliant tendrils weaving structures reminiscent of coral reefs or neural pathways. They acted like builders, explorers, colonists. And Earth, blue and shimmering in the darkness ahead, was the promised land. Governments issued classified alerts, launch vehicles prepped to intercept, lasers calibrated to target the object. Yet the more scientists watched, the more they realized. Attacking a vessel carrying radiation-eating spores might only scatter them, giving them more access to sunlight and space. A defense could become the very act that ensures Earth's contamination. Religious leaders called them angels. Philosophers called them destiny. Politicians called them threat. Billions around the world demanded to know what their governments were hiding. Without official word, conspiracy theorists filled the void, and many theories proved shockingly close to the truth. The microbes now emitted infrared patterns matching amino acid structures, like a molecular blueprint broadcast for all to see. Astrobiologists realized what they'd thought was a warning was actually an invitation. They wanted to merge ecosystems, to share genetics, to become part of Earth. Both species would change forever. NASA's internal documents leaked. Headlines exploded. Alien life heading for Earth. Governments hiding first contact. In every language, fear became the dominant emotion on Earth. Superpowers clashed over how to respond. Should humanity welcome the cosmic refugees or annihilate them before they reached orbit? Inside Mission Control, a consensus formed. Establish communication. A binary response was transmitted into space, an acknowledgement that we understood the message and were willing to talk. But no reply came. Instead, the microbes accelerated their expansion, releasing more radiant clouds and weaving together shapes resembling cells dividing. James Webb then recorded the most staggering sight yet, a massive opening forming on the object's darkened side. A structure emerged, mechanical in symmetry, organic in texture. It looked like a spore launcher or a hatch. Inside, glowing clusters pulsed like hearts preparing for birth. 3I/ATLAS wasn't just a comet, it was an incubator. The remaining months ticked down. Humanity had never been so united in fear. Would these life forms arrive as neighbors or conquerors? The collective behavior of the spores suggested goal-driven intelligence, not malice, but survival instincts can make any organism dangerous. Debate raged. Do we assist their landing, guiding them to isolated research zones? Do we construct orbital shields to incinerate incoming spores? Do we allow alien biology to step foot on Earth and risk irreversible ecological transformation? Microbes reached near-Earth space far ahead of the main object. Telescopes observed them interacting with our magnetosphere, tracing aurora-like spirals of light. They were mapping our planet, studying oceans, forests, cities. It felt less like reconnaissance and more like admiration. They were choosing where to live. Human consciousness now faced a crossroads. Our civilization built walls against its own species. Would we now build them against life from the stars? Or would we embrace a shared destiny written long before humanity existed? As the decision deadline neared, world leaders drafted a singular message: Earth will negotiate terms, a peace offering. We propose coexistence. Our transmission carried hope. The microbes finally responded. A brilliant bloom of light erupted around 3I/ATLAS. Colors never before recorded on any scientific spectrum. The spores formed a massive spiraling helix visible even through amateur telescopes. It rotated like a cosmic DNA strand, acknowledging kinship. But the celebration died instantly. James Webb detected something else inside 3I/ATLAS, emerging from the hatch. A colossal tetragonal structure made of hardened mineral exoskeleton. It wasn't biological. It wasn't peaceful. It looked like a predator, a guardian, or perhaps a parasite that destroyed the civilization that created the spores. The organisms outside recoiled. Their once elegant swirls turned chaotic, panicked. The radio message shifted to a single word repeated endlessly: run. Humanity finally understood. The spores weren't the threat. They were fleeing the threat, bringing it straight here. The structure locked onto Earth with a laser-sharp beam of reflected sunlight. Energy signatures spiked. And for the first time, every scientist stopped arguing and started praying. The spores swarmed in front of the machine-like entity, blocking its advance like a living shield. Sparks of cosmic radiation burst between them. The Guardians became soldiers. Their exile turned into a fight for survival. And if they lost, Earth would be next. Now the object and its occupants stand just beyond the moon's orbit. The spores flicker like fireflies preparing for their final stand. Humanity watches from below, powerless to intervene. Breath held as the first interstellar battle in history silently unfolds above us. We still don't know whether these beings will save us or doom us. All we know is this: 3I/ATLAS has arrived, and life from the stars has come with it. Tomorrow, everything changes. The world's media could no longer ignore what was happening above the skies. Amateur telescopes captured shimmering arcs of light near the moon, uploaded them online, and within minutes, millions were watching what experts now confirmed. The spores were actively fighting the massive entity emerging from 3I/ATLAS. A silent war raged in the vacuum of space, yet its consequences would soon cascade through every life form on Earth. Governments attempted to seize control of the narrative, but there was no narrative left to tame. Every broadcast turned into frantic coverage, speculation, and the same chilling truth. We were spectators to something colossal, ancient, and far beyond human comprehension. The object's guardian extended crystalline appendages, striking through the clouds of spores with ruthless efficiency. Each impact triggered bursts of radiation, dissolving thousands of glowing particles into dust. Yet the spores did not retreat. They surged forward like soldiers defending their final refuge. James Webb's sensors captured disturbing details. This guardian was absorbing the spore's energy, growing stronger with every organism destroyed. It fed on them. It hunted them. It may have been designed to ensure no life escaped their home system. Humanity realized that 3I/ATLAS wasn't just a comet carrying survivors, it was a trap, a lifeboat with a monster hidden aboard. Panic resumed behind the closed doors of global space defense councils. The Guardian might soon turn its attention toward Earth, drawn to its vast blanket of life and energy. military officials launched the first line of orbital defense. Experimental high-intensity lasers designed for asteroid deflection, but compared to a creature crafted to survive stellar collapse, it was as ineffective as shining a flashlight at a tidal wave. The spores adapted instantly, clustering into massive shields to intercept attacks. They weren't fighting humanity, they were protecting it. Webb detected coordinated bioelectric signals pulsing through the clouds, each cluster working like neurons in a planetary immune system. They tried to communicate again, but this time the message came through clearly. Help us. Together, we live. For the first time, Earth was not merely a destination, it was an ally. Biologists raced against time to understand how to assist the spores. Labs studied the earlier drone samples and discovered a potential weakness. The Guardian's crystalline armor resonated at specific frequencies Earth technology could generate. A strategy emerged: amplify those frequencies through satellite networks and ground-based transmitters to destabilize the Guardian while the spores delivered the final blow. It was a global effort, unlike anything in human history. Nations in conflict set aside centuries of hostility in mere hours. Every available signal tower, radio satellite, and communication array reworked itself into a unified resonance weapon, Earth's first interstellar defense system. Billions watched the countdown. Billions held their breath. The signal launched. A deep vibration reverberated through space, invisible yet devastating. The Guardian's exoskeleton fractured, splintering into radiant shards. The spores saw the opening and swarmed, flooding into the fractures, attacking from within like white blood cells, dismantling a colossal virus. For the first time, the Guardian recoiled, not feeding, but suffering. Earth cheered. Relief flooded living rooms. Social feeds filled with hope. Perhaps this would end before any invasion or extinction began. But winning battles often reveals the true war. As the Guardian weakened, a horrifying fissure cracked open in 3 I/ATLAS's core. Sensors detected something much larger, still dormant, an energy signature dwarfing the Guardian. Whatever had chased the spores across the abyss of space wasn't a single creature. It was a species, or worse, a self-replicating army designed to sterilize worlds. The spores delivered one more message: we cannot stop them alone. The Guardian, even while collapsing, unleashed a final desperate assault, ripping apart millions of spores. Yet with its armor compromised, the spores reached its heart, a glowing crystalline processor. In a blinding flash, the Guardian shattered into stardust. Silence returned. Humanity's celebration lasted seconds. 3 I/ATLAS cracked apart like an egg. From the fissure emerged an enormous structure, curved like a scythe, layered with biomechanical plating, radiating energy powerful enough to disrupt satellites across Earth. This was the true threat, and it was awakening. The spores retreated, forming a defensive halo around Earth's orbit. They hovered like watchful guardians, ready to die for a planet not yet their home. And humanity now faced a choice that would define the future of two civilizations. Do we stand beside them, or hide behind fear, walls, and weapons? For the first time in centuries, no nation, no faith, no political ideology could deny the obvious. Earth had become a front line in a war older than human evolution. Our skies were no longer empty, our planet no longer isolated, our species no longer alone. NASA declared a global alert, highest threat level ever recorded. Governments prepared evacuation protocols for major cities. Armed forces mobilized. Scientists transmitted a response to the spores. We will fight with you. The spore shield pulsed brighter. Approval. The colossal scythe-shaped Leviathan oriented toward Earth. Systems powered up like a star preparing to ignite. A beam of energy gathered at its core, aimed directly at our planet. The spores swarmed into formation, a radiant barricade of alien biology prepared to sacrifice everything. The first interstellar alliance was now official. Humanity and spores side by side against extinction. James Webb captured every detail. The Leviathan fired. A beam cut through space at the speed of annihilation. The spores collided with the blast, a cosmic shield absorbing the fury, burning away millions of lives in an instant. Earth shook as electromagnetic shockwaves rattled the atmosphere, but the spores held. Humanity watched, horrified yet awestruck. We were witnessing the greatest battle in the history of life itself. The spores surged forward, embedding themselves into the Leviathan's plating, devouring energy, converting radiation into weapons. They had learned from the Guardian. They evolved in seconds what evolution on Earth would take centuries to achieve. The Leviathan shrieked, not in sound but radiation bursts, thrashing as spores consumed its armor layer by layer. The battle lit the sky brighter than auroras, painting night into swirling oceans of alien fire. Earth's defensive signal struck again, increasing the frequency waves. The Leviathan cracked, spores flooded its core. And with a final flash, the Leviathan disintegrated into cosmic ash. Silence again. This time, victorious. The spores dimmed, exhausted, their numbers reduced to a fraction of their former glory. But they had saved us without hesitation. Now they floated, waiting, hoping Earth would honor its promise. A new transmission appeared. We seek sanctuary. 8 billion humans stared upward, no longer afraid, but humbled. These refugees from a dead star now looked to Earth not as prey, but as partners in survival. They could terraform barren worlds, restore dying ecosystems, heal radiation-scarred landscapes. Together, we could colonize the stars, sharing knowledge, sharing biology, sharing fate. Humanity voted without ever casting ballots. The decision was universal. A reply left Earth, welcome home. The spores descended gently, forming luminous streams entering Earth's upper atmosphere, guided to isolated oceanic research zones. They landed like stardust meeting water, peaceful, deliberate, grateful. New life from another star had arrived, and the future of both species had just begun. James Webb, still watching, recorded the final message written in shimmering patterns across the sky. Life endures, across the dark, across the stars, together. And for the first time since humans looked upward and wondered if we were alone, the answer was no, and it was beautiful.